In Tehran today, pensioners from the state telecom company were protesting about the cost of living, which is spiralling. And in the oil-rich province of Khuzestan in the south, the same complaint. Our kitchen tables are empty, says this man, as annual inflation runs at over 100%, ruling out any idea of a comfortable retirement.
خاک تو سر اون مسئوله بی‌کفایت بی‌عرضه نمیدونم چی باید دیگه بگم.
Here, the owner of a garage, we don't know where, takes his own risks by daring to speak out. He's complaining about the cost of replacing the brake lights on a car. To hell with incompetent, useless officials, he says. I don't even know what else to say. In Tehran, a giant poster shows Donald Trump sinking beneath the waves after almost 6 months of war, though it's millions of Iranians who are struggling with the very opposite of nirvana. This morning, the rial plunged to its lowest level against the dollar since the revolution of 1979, amid what the US government openly describes as an attempt to collapse the Islamic Republic with the toughest sanctions in history. Earlier this year, thousands were killed in what began as economic protests against the regime. Yet, as the situation worsens, Iranians are finding their voices once again.
This depreciating rial is shrinking people's kitchen tables. They say it has no impact, but how is that even possible? We are feeling the effects with every fibre of our being.
Some basic foods are subsidised with government coupons sent to low-income households. But inflation is so rampant that there's a growing mismatch between what is available in the shops and what many Iranians can actually afford. An Iranian documentary filmmaker sent us this video of his family's fridge. It's seen better days, he says. This is the reality for Iranian families. A reality which is beginning to temper the government's usual bravado about winning this war.
People should know that the authorities understand the hardships they're facing. I believe we need to speak honestly and openly with people. American pressure cannot continue indefinitely, and I can say with confidence that they need this situation to end more than we do.
Yet while Americans face high petrol prices, Iranians are enduring more sanctions, more economic isolation. And the Trump administration hopes that a rising level of public anger will force the regime to negotiate.
Now, Donald Trump has accused Canada of ripping off the United States for years and threatened more 50% tariffs on imported vehicles, car parts and steel starting next year. Trade negotiations between the two countries broke down last week, and tonight Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney said there had been progress, but the momentum reversed. That's a NATO ally, but in the last hour, the US Treasury Secretary has announced an economic onslaught against Iran and its financial networks. Our US editor Anushka Astana joins us from Washington. Anushka.
Thank you. Yeah, I've just come here from the US Treasury. So let me start with Iran. Scott Bessent basically announced what he called Operation Economic Outcast, in which he promised to really hit Iran hard. Now, it sounds pretty familiar to the journalists who were in the room, because back in April, they turned to the economic sanctions for the first time and they said they were going to have Operation Economic Fury. They said that was going to be maximum pressure on Iran. But as you will have noticed, Iran has still not capitulated. It is still trying to use that chokehold in the Strait of Hormuz. So that's why we're getting this. And the reason it's called Outcast is that it's all about isolating Iran. It's all about targeting the other countries that do business with Iran, threatening them with secondary sanctions if they don't break off those ties. Now, at one point, Scott Bessent compared to this to D-Day during the Second World War, but he was pointed out to that D-Day was action then, not the threat of action. And so someone asked him, why aren't you putting these sanctions in place now?
Why would I want to blow up the global financial system? We believe that it is important to level set and give people a cure period, but they should know that that will move very quickly and that we are serious. The reason we are able to use secondary sanctions is because we do not take their use lightly. So we believe that a warning shot and a level set of expectations is appropriate.
So the language is very, very strong. He's admitting that secondary sanctions could blow up the global financial system. Well, you can read into that the US doesn't want to use them. It's hoping that the warning shot might be enough. It points to the UAE, for example, breaking ties with Iran. But are other allies going to do that? Is Pakistan really going to do that? And most of all, is China? China have said in recent days that it doesn't believe sanctions will work and that it won't be bullied.
This while the trade war with Canada is intensifying.
Yeah, things are very, very spiky when it comes to the Canadian-US relationship. This weekend, as you'll know, there were 50% tariffs put on $20 billion worth of exports. Mark Carney came out and said enough is enough, we're not having this. Now there has been a response today from Donald Trump threatening more tariffs on cars in January. He's gone to Truth Social to say that. Well, we've heard today from Mark Carney and also Scott Bessent addressed this in the Treasury just now. Have a listen to what they said.
The goal of our trade negotiations with the United States has always been to get the best deal for Canadians, never a deal at any price or on any time frame. We did make some progress in recent weeks. In the end, that momentum reversed, and we could not accept what the U.S. had offered, nor could we give what they asked.
Prime Minister Carney rose to power on an anti-American, anti-Trump platform. I believe he was more than 20 points behind, and he seems to have gone back to his old playbook. And I think one has to ask oneself, is he trying to benefit himself, the Liberal Party, or the Canadian people?
Now, inside the White House, Donald Trump is still going on Truth Social. He's saying that Canada needs the US does not need Canada. But in truth, Canada is very important for the US economy. And in truth, Iran has been very effective in harming the US economy as well as the global economy when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, which is a big headache for the president here.
Thanks, Anushka. Well, I'm joined now by Mohammad Marandi, a professor at Tehran University, a former advisor to Iran's nuclear negotiating team and close to the authorities there. Well, we heard Scott Bessent threatening an economic D-Day, and then he said, well, I don't actually want to blow up the global financial system. What do you think the Iranian government will make of his threat?
Well, first of all, which authorities am I close to exactly? What does that mean? When you speak to professors at British universities, do you say that they're close to authorities, or is that for me because I'm Iranian?
Let's not get sidetracked by that. I know that you are influential and you are close to the Iranian government, and you've been part of the nuclear negotiating team. You were in Beirut. You went to Pakistan. When the negotiations happened, you are close to the authorities. That's why we speak to you, because you know what's going on. So tell me what you think they'll make of it.
You're using that as propaganda.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm using it to... No, I'm doing the opposite. I'm doing the opposite, actually. Let's not...
You're not letting me talk.
No.
When I was in Beirut, I was not there on behalf of the government. I was there on behalf of my...
I'm not trying to discredit you. I'm actually trying to say you know what's going on in Iran because you are close to people in power. I'm actually doing the opposite of discrediting you. So I'm asking you, what do you think they will think?
I'm an academic at the University of Tehran.
Okay, fine.
And I do not have any government position. And if you want, you can invite someone else.
No, okay, fine.
Just going back to your propaganda piece.
Let's not get hung up
you said the Iranian, in your propaganda piece, you said the Iranian regime, the Trump administration. And you showed people protesting. And then you said people are finding their voices. But you don't recall, apparently, that millions of people went to the streets just recently for the funeral of Ayatollah Khamenei. Millions were protesting the attacks on the elementary schools.
And we showed those pictures. We have reported that as well. But it's clear that some people are struggling and some people are not happy about it as well.
But it's because the United States is carrying out crimes against humanity. They bombed the country, they bombed hospitals, schools, They bombed apartment blocks, and they imposed sanctions to strangle ordinary people. The objective
Look,
is to
we've talked
strangle
about
these
all of that in
people.
the past. I want to talk to you about these economic sanctions.
That's not what your propaganda piece said.
Let's put that to one side. I'm asking you about this American threat. Do you think it's credible? You know, will it scare anyone in the Iranian government? And do you think it can be enacted?
No, it's not going to scare anyone in the Iranian government. It's not going to scare the bulk of the Iranian people who worked very hard to defeat this war of aggression. And Iran will tolerate, or Iran will be forced to accept the pain in order to defeat the United States. And that's what has happened so far. The United States has carried out war against our people. It has massacred children in schools. It has massacred girls playing volleyball in La Mer, in La Mer. And of course, your government never condemned the United States, and your journalists don't condemn the United States. But Iran will persevere because Iran knows that this is an unjust war. And the sin of the Iranian people is that they oppose genocide. We already had D-Day. Wasn't D-Day the first day of the war against Iran when they slaughtered 168 little girls in the school in Minab, and when they slaughtered those teenage girls who were playing volleyball in a sports stadium? That's D-Day for the United States.
Do you think there is any, that it's possible, America wants to target the main Iranian bank, which it's long complained about. Do you think it's possible to effectively shut it down, and what effect would that have?
Shut down what?
One of the main Iranian banks.
The United States, whatever it does against Iran, Iran will retaliate because we are at war and there is no ceasefire. And so the United States and all those countries that assisted the United States in this war, such as Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Jordan, and the Israeli regime, all of them, they are fair game. And if the United States attacks us, we will harm them, the United States and its allies that have murdered our children. And any country that cooperates with the United States, they'll be seen as an enemy of the Iranian people, because this is a war to strangle women and children. We've already seen US senators go on TV, gloat and say Iranians don't have food. That's how disgusting the West is.
Okay.
That's how despicable the West is. And of course, it's understandable because we see the ongoing Holocaust in Gaza. So, you know, when they do that to the Iranians, it's a part of their, it's a part of the political culture.
Thank you for your time, Professor Mohammad Marandi.